Change is frightening, especially to those in power. And today is a massive day for the Indian motorcycle scene, because today a legend passes into the past. This motorcycle has dominated premium bike sales for 12 straight years, the Classic 350. Can you imagine Royal Enfield's challenge? To upgrade, update and replace the most vital ingredient in the brand's success story. A sea change in the one area that really matters, the one that determines survival, success and profit: sales. And that's what happens today. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the most crucial bike Royal Enfield has ever made. Yes, ever. The new, all new Classic 350. If you were expecting a sea change, let's understand a few things first. Mark Wells, head of product strategy and industrial design Royal Enfield, put it succinctly. His brief for the new Classic a full 5 years ago was, for God's sake, don't screw it up. And in sum, that is the challenge of making a new motorcycle when your current one does excellent sales, because the formula is working. And as you know, it's not a great idea to fix what's not broken, unless you're Tim Allen on Home Improvement, in which case you get a hit television show out of it. So what's changed? From the perspective of the last Classic 350, a whole heck of a lot. From the Meteor, not a lot. You see, the Meteor was developed along with the Classic 350. That's a no-brainer to me. Deploying the Meteor first was also an automatic good idea. If things went badly, Royal Enfield would still have their primary product unblemished and some more time to sort things out before this day arrived if needed. I could say that this is their good fortune, but that would be derogatory to all the hard work that Royal Enfield's teams have done on this engine. Because the Meteor, it turns out, that's pretty awesome. This J-Series engine, it's a tireless performer, has a great turn of torque, clever gearing, and it's reliable enough to silence critics to boot. And that is the engine that's now going into the Classic 350. The only changes, says Royal Enfield, are polished engine cases and minor fueling and ignition tweaks. To make the Classic more retro, in fact. I was baffled by this until I rode it, because it is different. The Classic 350's engine feels more reserved, slightly slower to respond, but like it has more authority rather than it's gotten lazy. It's beautiful at low speeds in high gears. But there is a difference. The new Classic 350 is a little bit mellower, a little calmer than the energetic Meteor. But that aside, not a whole lot has changed from the Meteor to this, because top speed is a claimed 115 kilometers an hour, 15 seconds to 100. The weight is roughly the same as the old Classic 350. In fact, if I weren't such a huge change magnet, I would actually be impressed by how close this Classic 350 is to the old Classic 350 in many ways. That engine goes into a frame that's just like the Meteor's. The big changes are to the suspension, which has been retuned in terms of damping. The front forks are 41mm units and there's 10mm more travel at the back. The brakes are the same, but the wheels are new. The bottom version gets spoke wheels with tube tires and the sole single-channel ABS trim. Smaller but important changes include brake feel, cornering clearance, and a one-size jump in tires from the old Classic also brings more grip and confidence to the motorcycle. Like the Meteor, the Classic 350 is a confident motorcycle. Retro in nature, but not shy in corners. And how have they done that? Well, you sit a little bit ahead of where you used to on the old motorcycle. That puts a little bit more weight on the front end, about 2%. The steering angle, the rake, is 1 degree less than the Meteor roughly. The handlebars lower and closer. What that means is, to you the motorcycle will feel a little bit heavier to steer, but it's also more considered, it's also more predictable. And you will be surprised, because that frame can corner really hard, and now it's got the ground clearance to do it with. On the other side, the new suspension gives it a beautifully settled ride quality, although I have to say it is on the stiff side. But bumps are handled really well, and what's most impressive is this feeling of all-pervasive solidity, as if nothing could happen to this motorcycle. The result of all this is easy to see. You get everywhere faster than the old Classic 350 ever could, and this happens easily and naturally. Which is why good brakes, which the new bike also has, are important. However, I would have wanted a slightly stronger bite. But what is important is that this motorcycle should feel strongly like the classic 350 we remember and know so well. That fans and buyers can natively see the continuity in what this motorcycle represents. And honestly, it does that. It's just like the old classic 350, but fresher, stronger, livelier, and vastly more responsive, which to me is a job well done. But tell me what you think in the comments. Versus the Meteor, however, the conclusions are more nuanced. And for that, I think we have to make another video. Stay tuned. That leaves us to discuss the design and the features. Let's take on the latter first. I have good news and I have bad news. Good news, the classic 350 finally, 12 years after it began, has a fuel gauge. I know, hilarious, and welcome. The top models of the classic 350 also get the navigation system, the Tripper, as standard. Royal Enfield says that they did want all the classic 350s to have that system, but unfortunately the chip shortage happened. What to do only. The bad news is that that's it for the features added to the new classic 350. There are no riding modes here and there's no Snapdragon processor either. But honestly, a retro bike with 115 km/h top speed doesn't really need it. In terms of design, Royal Enfield's teams had a hard task because the classic is a known shape. So the new bike has been heavily tweaked. It looks cleaner, more finished, more proportionate. Technically, this is an all-new design. But walk 10 steps away and it looks exactly like the old one, and that's not an accident. But the upgrade in the finish levels and attention to detail is unmistakable. Hell, they've even updated the unsightly Weber mudguard stays that I've always thought were a total and utter eyesore. I also think the rear fender, especially in single seat mode, looks a little bit too large. And I insist that retro bikes don't have to have headlight bulbs. They can have powerful LEDs instead. I mean, come on. Well, at least the accessory catalog is massive, featuring a lower seat, windscreen, and a plethora of alloy wheel options. So what does that mean for you and me? Well, the classic 350 is surprisingly surprise-free, especially if you've ridden the old classic 350 as well as the new Meteor. It looks like the former but better, and it goes like the latter, and it's happy. And I think that's literally the job that Royal Enfield set out to do with this motorcycle, and they've nailed it. But how does it do when you bring in the other retro bikes, the Jawa Jawa or the CB350? Well, that's a video that's coming up very shortly on Power Drift. Back to the classic, and you can bet that Royal Enfield will be a lot less conservative when it comes to their other new bikes, the Hunter, the Scram, the 650cc Cruiser, because the weight of legacy is lighter there. The pressure is to find success, not to build upon it. And that's the thing about change. It's scary, it is a constant. But if you know what you're doing, it can be managed.